I've got a few things you need to know about SpaceX as its first day of trading as a public company is finally winding down. I'll also give you a tiny market update and mention which Mag 7 stock actually has the biggest ownership stake in SpaceX and how much do they own. So all that and more here. Let me go ahead and jump over to the market. I do need to remind you this is just a financial education presentation. You must do your own due diligence before acting on anything you hear in this presentation. More disclaimer information can be found on AnkerstarWealth.com, and the opinions expressed are mine alone. We have the S&P 500 got up to about a 0.8% gain on the day early this morning, but it's kind of settled back down as the market digests the SpaceX IPO. So up about 1/3% as it stands right now. I know you don't want to wait too long to get into the SpaceX stuff, so let's go ahead and jump over to some important metrics there. We do have the stock trading at about $160 per share, up 18% from the IPO price of $135. We did, so for folks who participated in the Ankerstar Wealth Access XAI Syndicate about 6 months ago, your cost basis when those shares eventually populate in Schwab will be just under $100. That is from the most recent data we have, and that's our understanding. It got a little muddy there because XAI got acquired by SpaceX. SpaceX split the shares before the IPO, and so it was hard to get the exact cost basis, but from what we can tell, it will be just under $100 for those folks. For the folks who got in this week through the IPO itself, you would have that cost basis of $135. According to what we understand through Schwab, you are free to sell those shares, but of course you do have an attractive cost basis at this point. So that's kind of the pricing for the Ankerstar Wealth client base who has participated in either capacity. Now, jumping over to SpaceX itself, this does make, at least it was earlier today, this does make Elon Musk the world's first trillionaire, and many other owners of SpaceX are millionaires, got 10 million, 100 million. There's a couple billionaires that were printed today. So lots of wealth being created, and that is kind of a feature of capitalism, really, is that we do operate in a system that allows for massive wealth creation under the right circumstances and for folks who go through these processes. So was it me? Was I in there? No, but it is, we are in a system that allows for that, which is a good place to be, probably, or has been throughout history. Okay, jumping over, we did get a comment from the I think the president or chief operating officer saying that bringing Tesla and SpaceX together could make Elon's life easier at some point. Time will tell there. If we jump to the price of the stock, you got just on a 1 day, obviously, you had a peak up here about 176, and you're down here just at about 160 right now. So you're in a 10% drawdown almost. But of course, this is the volatility is to be expected. Statistically, we would expect at least 150% drawdown in the stock during the first 12 months of trading. The catch is that some of these stocks might rip 100, 200, 300% before they crash 50%. So you may not get to that $135 price target price again. But just want to mention that volatility is to be expected. If you're long for the ride, you're long for the ride. If not, but you're not along for the ride and expecting like a nice smooth ride here. The suspension is not going to be good on that ride. It's going to be bumpy. Okay, now this is crazy to me. Largest companies by market cap. You've got, because I look at these things pretty frequently, but you have a brand new name in the top 10. SpaceX, you've got the logo, about $2.2 trillion of value has been unlocked here. And that's actually one of the reasons you expect all the volatility, because insiders will get shares released at, like, I think something happens at 30 days, 60 days. Obviously, 180 days will be a big one. So as people want to extract this value, right? This is an old company. I think SpaceX might be like 18 years old. So some of these folks really have been working there a long time. They're sitting there looking at $100 million worth of stock, and they're probably going to want to sell 50 million, to diversify or do any number of things. Yeah. So as those insiders get unlocked and they start to liquidate a portion of their assets there, it's gonna create volatility in the stock. It's an extra seller. I think this is interesting. So where would SpaceX go in the S&P 500 if it were able to get in after 4 profitable quarters? Remember, the S&P 500 elected to not change their rules on letting SpaceX get into the index early. They do actually have to meet the financial viability criteria. They have to meet the float criteria. And they have to, I think, have been trading for 12 months before they can even be evaluated or something like that. So the S&P 500 stuck to their normal rules. A lot of investors are happy about that. Of course, some, might not be. Imagine you've held the SPY for 20 years. You want some SpaceX, but you've got it's in a taxable account. You're up 1,000% or something. You're not going to sell your index fund, but you wanted SpaceX. So there's some of those folks who might be sad about it. And then there's some who are like, no, we want everyone to play by the same rules. We're happy about it. Just depends on who you ask. But why am I highlighted this industrials here? The word on the street is that SpaceX will be an aerospace and defense company when it's all said and done. That's the sector, which would eventually plug it right here into industrials in the S&P 500 if and when it gets there. So just be mindful of that. This is not going to be information technology. It's not going to be comm services. It's not going to be, what else might it have been? An energy company or something like that. It's going to be an industrial, most likely. And while we're here, year to date, who's the number one in sector? It's energy. Energy is holding on to that first place, and then information technology. Look at industrials, though. That's where SpaceX could be. They've had a really good year, and that is related to that data center build out. Last thing, while SpaceX will not make it into the S&P 500 quickly, SpaceX will be making it into the NASDAQ very quickly after 15 trading days. So they changed all the rules. There's no float rules. There's no window of trading rules. It's only a size rule now for the NASDAQ, which SpaceX would obviously meet. They'll be easily in the top 40 of those constituents by size, which will allow them to get in. So that should happen in the next, after three more weeks of trading. I hope I hit everything. Are you interested in anything else here? Trillionaire. We've got a new top 10 public company in the world. Markets are healthily up today, still up about 1/3% on the S&P 500. So really, really interesting times. We might never see another IPO quite a $2 trillion company just hit the market on a Friday, a summer Friday like this. And summers are kind of notorious for having lower volumes and just a little bit less activity. People are traveling more and doing and outside a bit more. So for a company like this to hit when it did is just really historic. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. And of course, look forward to talking to you soon.